I still remember the sound of her voice that morning, calm, steady, almost rehearsed, when she told me she couldn't do this anymore. We were sitting in our small apartment, sunlight spilling through the blinds, catching dust in the air. She looked at me like she'd already made peace with the decision. I hadn't. I couldn't. I thought we were stronger than this. But life doesn't always wait for love to catch up. My mother had fallen ill 3 months before. The kind of illness that doesn't come with warning signs, it just arrives, silently, and rearranges your entire existence. I got the call from my sister one night, and I remember staring at my phone long after she hung up, thinking about how everything in my life, my job, my plans, my relationship, suddenly felt meaningless compared to that single sentence, "Mom's not doing well." When I told Emma, she held my hand. She said we'd figure it out together. I believed her. For a while, we did. But as weeks turned into months, I started noticing the small cracks, the distance in her eyes, the sighs when I talked about hospital visits, the silence that followed whenever I mentioned moving back to my hometown to take care of my mom. It wasn't that she didn't care. She did. She just couldn't see herself living that kind of life, small town, long hours, the smell of antiseptic and fading flowers. I told her I was going anyway. Not because I wanted to, but because I had to. Family isn't something you can replace. Love, maybe. But not family. She didn't argue. She just nodded, looked at the floor, and said quietly, "Then I guess this is goodbye." I thought she'd cry. I thought I would too. But we didn't. We just stood there, like two people reading the last page of a book they didn't want to end. And then she left. For weeks after, I tried to focus on my mother. The days blurred into each other, medication schedules, doctor visits, nights sleeping in a chair by her bedside. There were moments of tenderness too, her smile when I made her tea, the way she'd ask about Emma even though she already knew the answer. "She's a good girl," she'd say softly. "Don't let her go." And every time, I'd change the subject, because I already had. The house smelled like old memories. My father's tools still hung in the garage, untouched since he passed away. The walls were filled with pictures of better times, birthdays, vacations, Christmas mornings. I found myself staring at one photo in particular, me and Emma at the lake, her hair messy from the wind, both of us laughing. That picture felt like another lifetime. I tried calling her once. She didn't pick up. I left a message, something short, something safe. I told her my mother was getting weaker, that I missed her voice, that I still thought about her every night before I fell asleep. She never called back. I stopped trying after that. It's strange how quiet a life can become when love walks out the door. Even surrounded by the noise of hospital machines and the echo of small-town gossip, I felt hollow. I kept waiting for a text, an email, anything. But silence has a way of teaching you what you refused to see before, that sometimes, love isn't enough. Not when timing is wrong. Not when life demands a different version of you. One evening, after helping Mom to bed, I sat on the porch. The air smelled like rain, and the sun was sinking behind the hills. I thought about the city, the lights, the noise, the way Emma used to fall asleep on my chest while we listened to the hum of traffic. I thought about all the little things I'd taken for granted. And for the first time in a long while, I cried. The next morning, I found an old letter among my mother's things. It wasn't addressed to anyone. Just folded neatly between the pages of a Bible. The handwriting was hers, soft and elegant, the kind of script people don't use anymore. I opened it and started reading. It was about love. About choices. About how sometimes, the hardest thing isn't saying goodbye, it's living with the reasons that forced you to. That letter broke something inside me. Or maybe it fixed something. I'm still not sure. Weeks passed. Mom's condition got worse. The doctors said we were out of options, and suddenly, the world felt smaller, like it was closing in. I spent nights talking to her, even when she was too weak to answer. I told her stories from my childhood, about Emma, about how I wish things could have been different. Sometimes, I imagined she could hear me. Sometimes, I just needed to believe she did. One night, while sitting beside her bed, I got a message. The name on the screen made my heart stop, Emma. I hesitated before opening it. It was short. I heard about your mom. I'm sorry. I hope you're okay. That was all. But it felt like oxygen. I replied, thank you. I'm managing. I stared at the screen, waiting for those 3 little dots to appear, the ones that mean someone is typing. They never did. After that, I started writing letters to her. I never sent them. Just words on paper, things I wished I'd said. About how much she meant to me. About how scared I was to lose everything at once. About how, deep down, I didn't blame her for leaving. I kept them in a small box under my bed. Maybe one day, I'll have the courage to send them. Maybe not. The night my mother passed away, it was raining. The soft kind of rain that makes everything smell like earth and memory. I held her hand as she took her last breath. There was no dramatic moment, no last words, just a quiet exhale, like she'd been waiting for permission to rest. I sat there long after, listening to the rain hit the window, feeling like a part of me had gone with her. After the funeral, the house felt emptier than ever. The walls echoed differently. The silence was thicker. I packed her things slowly, carefully, like each item held a fragment of her soul. And when I found that same letter again, I read it one more time. The words seemed different now, heavier, truer. She wrote, "Love is not about holding on. It's about knowing when to let go, even if it breaks you." I don't know if she meant it for me, or for herself. But it felt like an answer to everything I'd been carrying. That night, I drove to the lake where Emma and I took that photo. It hadn't changed much, still quiet, still surrounded by pine trees that whispered when the wind passed through. I sat on the dock and watched the water move, the reflection of the moon trembling like my hands. I thought about calling her again, but what would I even say? That I finally understood. That I forgave her. That I still loved her. Maybe all of that. Maybe none. As I sat there, I realized that sometimes, love doesn't end. It just changes shape. It becomes silence, or memory, or the ache you feel when a certain song plays on the radio. It becomes the ghost that visits you in dreams, the one that doesn't speak but makes you wake up with tears on your face. I stayed at the lake until sunrise. The sky turned gold, and for a brief moment, I imagined she was there, standing behind me, smiling the way she used to. I almost turned around. But I didn't. I knew she wasn't. Some memories are too sacred to disturb. A week after the funeral, I decided to go back to the city, not to stay, but to face what I'd left behind. My mother's words, that letter, had been echoing in my head every night. I felt like I needed to close a circle that had been open for too long. I packed a small bag, locked the house, and took one last look at the garden she loved so much. The flowers were fading, but still beautiful in their own way, like things that knew they were ending but refused to stop being what they were. The drive was long, the road familiar and strange all at once. Every mile felt like a memory. The places we'd stopped before, the songs we used to sing in the car, the conversations that now felt like whispers from another life. When I finally reached the city, it felt colder. Or maybe it was me who changed. I parked near the cafe we used to go to, the one with the crooked chairs and the smell of roasted beans and rain-soaked pavement. I sat inside for a while, watching strangers come and go, each one carrying their own invisible story. I didn't plan to see her. I just wanted to feel close to the version of my life that still had her in it. But fate, or maybe something crueler, had other plans. As I stepped outside, I saw her across the street. Same hair, same walk, but something different in her eyes, a softness that wasn't there before. She was with someone. A man. He was holding her hand, and she was smiling in that quiet, genuine way she used to with me. I froze. My heart didn't just break, it caved in. I wanted to look away, but I couldn't. She looked happy. That should have been enough for me, right? But it wasn't. Happiness isn't a thing you can measure, not when it used to belong to you. I turned and started walking in the opposite direction, each step heavier than the last. The city felt louder now, as if it wanted to drown out the sound of my thoughts. That night, I stayed in a cheap motel. I didn't sleep much. I kept thinking about what I'd seen, her laughter, the ease in her body language, the way time had softened her edges. I wondered if she ever thought about me. I wondered if she'd remember the nights we stayed up talking about our future, not knowing that the future had other plans. Somewhere between those thoughts, I realized something I wish I'd known sooner: love isn't lost all at once. It leaves in fragments. A word here, a touch there, until one day you wake up and it's just gone. The next morning, I wrote her a letter. I didn't plan to give it to her. It was just something I needed to get out of me. It said, "Emma, I saw you today. You looked happy, and that made me ache and breathe at the same time. I used to think I wanted to hate you for leaving, but I don't. I understand now. I know you needed more than what I could give when my world fell apart. And that's okay. I hope he loves you the way I couldn't. I hope he stays when things get hard. Because no matter what happened between us, you deserve that. Always." I folded it, put it in my wallet, and kept it there. A reminder not of loss, but of what it means to care for someone even when they're gone from your life. When I returned home, the emptiness felt different. Not as sharp, but deeper somehow, a quiet that sits inside you rather than around you. I started to rebuild. Not in the way people imagine, no grand moments of renewal, no sudden joy, just small things. Fixing the porch. Cleaning out the attic. Making breakfast for one. I learned that healing isn't a process, it's a decision you make over and over again, even when it doesn't feel like it's working. Sometimes I'd catch myself talking out loud, to my mother, to Emma, to no one. It made me feel less alone. I told myself it didn't matter if they heard me or not. Maybe words have their own way of finding the ones they're meant for. Months passed. I found a job teaching at the local school, helping kids learn literature, stories about love and loss and everything in between. I think I liked it because, through those stories, I could talk about my own without ever saying it directly. The kids would ask if the characters ever got their happy endings, and I'd tell them, sometimes. But sometimes the ending isn't happy, it's just true. They'd nod, not fully understanding, but one day they will. Every once in a while, I still go to the lake. It's my quiet place, the space between the past and whatever comes next. I bring a thermos of coffee and sit on the dock until the sun goes down. I watch the reflection of the sky on the water and think about all the versions of myself I've been, the son, the lover, the man who thought love could fix everything. I've learned that sometimes love doesn't fix you. It just teaches you how to endure the parts of yourself that can't be fixed. A few weeks ago, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper. No letterhead, no name, just a short note in handwriting I hadn't seen in years. It said, "I saw you at the cafe that day. I didn't know how to say hello. I hope you're okay. I still think about you sometimes. E." I stared at it for a long time. My hands trembled, not from sadness, but from the weight of everything that note carried, closure, maybe. Or the illusion of it. I didn't cry. I just smiled, folded it back into the envelope, and placed it beside my mother's letter. Two ghosts, side by side. Two reminders that love, in all its forms, never truly leaves. It just changes where it lives. That night, I sat on the porch again. The sky was clear, full of stars. I thought about calling her, just to say I got her letter, just to say thank you, but I didn't. Some things are better left unspoken. Some goodbyes echo longer when you don't try to rewrite them. Time moves differently now. Slower. Quieter. I still dream about her sometimes. In the dreams, we're back at the lake, laughing. She turns to me and says, "It's okay. You did the right thing." I wake up every time before I can answer, but maybe that's the point, maybe she already knows what I'd say. I've come to realize that grief isn't just about losing people. It's about losing the parts of yourself that existed only with them. The version of me that loved her, he doesn't exist anymore. But he was real once. And maybe that's enough. Sometimes, when the wind blows through the trees, it sounds like her voice. Soft, distant, almost like a memory calling my name. I close my eyes and let it pass through me. It doesn't hurt as much now. It's just, there. A reminder that love, even when it leaves, never really lets go. And maybe that's what life is, a series of people we learn to love and lose, over and over, until we understand that the pain isn't punishment. It's proof that we felt something real. That we were alive. If I could tell her one last thing, it wouldn't be, "I miss you." It would be, "Thank you. Thank you for showing me that love can be fragile and still be beautiful." That goodbye doesn't mean it never mattered. That even endings have their own kind of grace. And maybe one day, when the world has forgotten our names, the wind will still carry the echoes of what we were, two souls who crossed paths, broke apart, and left behind something that never really faded. Because in the end, love isn't measured by how long it lasts, but by how deeply it changes you. Now, every morning when I wake up, I whisper her name, not because I expect an answer, but because it reminds me she was real. Some days, that's all I need. The world keeps turning, the seasons change, and I keep learning how to live with the silence she left behind. It doesn't hurt the same way anymore, but it still hurts. And maybe that's the truth no one tells you, that some loves aren't meant to fade. They stay, quietly, like a heartbeat you can't forget. And even when it breaks you, you wouldn't trade it for anything.